Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It is the 1st of November. It's the year 2025. That's what they want us to believe, and that's all we got to go with. So it is what it is. What is up, Tom Manley? What is up, Bail Busters? Nice name. Venti does it. Thanks, brother. 𝗓𝗓𝗧𝗘𝗏𝗔𝗧𝗘𝗔𝗧. 𝗓𝗡𝗧𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗓. What is up? Hello, Lomas001. Kevin Mills, what's up, man? 𝗓𝗡𝗙𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗔, yeah. Robert Ramirez, one of my mods. Thanks, man. Weirdo Music, what's up, brother? Jab Neil 7, is that right? Delta Recon, what's up, bro? Captain Obvious, same. Kelly Hansen, Scott Page, Andy Johnson, Serena, Pure Blood, you just went flying by. Sorry about that. Tickety Boo, what's up? Rocky Burns, Tommy Klutz, what's up, brother? John Rennick, what's up, brother? I'll be seeing you soon. Creek don't rise. Good Lord's willing. I appreciate you staying in touch, man. Stephen O'Neill Jr., Stephen Rankin, The Great Deception, Matt Persico, and where's this last one? Mika Al Nazir. What's up, brother? Southern Mexico. Nice. And Mick Ward, Philip, I don't know how to say your last name, bro. I'm sorry. Nez Lover, what is up? And Joanna DZ. All right, that's it. How's that? Because I'll be sitting here all day. Latasha Jordan, my bad. Domino PL, Lynn Gruen, Learning Truth, and Barbin, Ohio. All right, there we go. That's it. Appalachian Badger. How about that? That's it. All right. So here we are. I'm doing this on 2 channels at the same time. Why? I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I don't know. Suck views from your own channel. That makes sense? That's what I'm doing. But I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant at the end of the day. I got to start using those channels before we lose those channels. Now, let me start this off real quick with showing you something that you should be interested in. Here it is, correct? Yep. All right. This is from the guy, Jack, whose wife, Judy, was in the hospital, and we all asked for prayers, if you recall. Okay, I got it up there. Hi, Richie. I just wanted to give you an update on my wife. She is now out of the Ruby Memorial NCCU and has been moved to Subacute Hospital, still in Morgantown, West Virginia. I found a way to cut the drive down to 2 hours and 15 minutes, taking some back roads instead of 3 hours, so that's a blessing. So now she's getting some physical therapy, and they were working with Judy to try to get her to follow commands. That's brutal, but it's awesome, I guess. The plan is to get her to be more alert and follow the commands a little better. She sleeps a lot, but my baby. This guy is 73 years old, and he's still calling his wife that. Dude, I mean, I don't have to tell you what a gift that is, but I will. My baby has been through so much unbelievable hell and back. The next plan is to move her to a skilled nursing facility, which will be much closer to my apartment, and eventually back home, hopefully by Christmas. Prayer does work, and if you could give your subscribers an update on her condition, for so many people asked for an update in the comments when they prayed for us, I really would appreciate it if you could do that for me. Done deal. That's easy. For you're the only one who can. Here's a little fact for you. People who have a hemorrhagic stroke, as Judy had, 43% of those people die in the first 30 days. Excuse me. Well, we just got past one milestone date, so prayers are so important and powerful. I just wanted to say from deep in my soul, thanks to each and every one who sent prayers to God and Jesus and the angels for Judy. Anytime. It's the least I can do. And like I told you in the email that I sent to you, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. If I can't do it, I'll do it anyway. So it is what it is. So there's that. That's The power of prayer, if properly harnessed and used, and if it's God's will, it'll happen. Apparently it was God's will, because 73 years old with the same woman, whoo, I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? But I was too self-absorbed, I would probably have to imagine, too busy on my own path. So it is what it is. What are you going to do? So check this out. It's not here. Remember I told you my ear was blocked up? Well, it got to the point where I wasn't even sure if my ear was still blocked up, but somebody sent me this thing. It's cordless. You fill it with water, you put it in your ear, and it cleans out your ear just like the doctor, and you're good to go. So I'm thinking, well, you're in a hotel room. You know, people are like, this is a backdrop. Well, it's a pretty amazing backdrop if it's a backdrop, because you can sit on it. You can turn the lights on and off. You can do all sorts of stuff on this backdrop. I love how people are always looking for something that ain't there, but I get it. I stuck this thing in my ear. I did the thing, and now my ear's blocked up because I was blasting water into it, blasting it in there. So that's awesome. I can still hear, and I think it was fixed, and I just didn't know it, because how do you know? At any rate, somebody just asked a question in the comments, and I said something snarky, as I often do. It's my default. Sarcasm is my default, especially when you're reading text. There's no voice inflection. You don't know things like that. I'm not looking for any cures. I'm good. I just created a problem for myself that was gone. It's the story of my life. I just posted this on my other channel. So you should probably subscribe to the Band 1 911 and RFB3 and Richie from Boston 2, RFB2, all these stupid backups. I really wish I had my main channel back, but it is what it is. But I just posted this, and I'm not recommending this at all. I'm just posting this because it's public information. You should know this. So here we go. As it says, do not try this. This will disrupt our current system.
A group known only as Blade Runners have gone viral on social media. Videos gaining millions of views showing them cutting down, smashing, and even burning these new cameras set up within London City to track all the traffic moving around. The cameras were put in place to enforce what's called an ultra-low emission zone. If your car's too old, you pay about £12.50 every single day to drive around the city. Apparently it's to clean the air. It's a new green initiative, hoping to cut back on the amount that people are driving within the city. But critics of it say that it's highway robbery. Now it's all turned into an open rebellion. These Blade Runners are going viral for running around the city, cutting down all the poles, burning them. These cameras are set up to snap a photo of your number plate. They then track your car's movements throughout the city. The police have launched an operation to try and hunt them down, but with hundreds of cameras already destroyed, the Blade Runners are winning. The rebels are winning the fight. And as these videos gain popularity and spread online, it's encouraging others to do the same thing. It's becoming a trend, and it's getting out of control. There's even videos where they film tips, and to get around it, they say, definitely don't do this. And they're getting around the rules. The videos are having to be allowed on social media, gaining more attention, making enforcement of it pretty difficult. The real question is, whose side are you on? Is it justifiable for a climate change action, or is this just a step too far?
Is it just a step too far? This guy, whoever posted this, I had to steal that video because I wanted to show it in this video. And it's crazy. These guys are running around with DeWalt or, Chinese-made cordless grinders with 5-inch cutting wheels or 6-inch cutting wheels if they can do it. And they're literally just going around the pole and they're cutting them down. And if they can't do that, they're taking blow torches, little propane tanks that you can get at Walmart, Lowe's, any of your local, home repair centers, and they're taping them to extendable like broom handles, things like that, and they're burning the cameras. I mean, that's crazy. I can't believe they're doing it. It's like they don't want a system that's watching them constantly for their own safety, for the climate. You know what I mean? Like, is this a step too far? Well, you tell me. I don't know. I think it's crazy. I mean, that's like civil disobedience. That's not accepting the system they're offering. They're offering you a system that's going to bring you safety and security, peace and security. You see what I mean? It's a weird thing. I don't get it. It's what a weird thing, you know? And I mean, they're simply doing it with, balaclavas or masks on, hooded, and they're using little backpacks because a cordless grinder is a very small thing. I carry one in the truck just in case, something breaks. You got to grind it off or whatever. But I mean, wow, unbelievable that they would stand up to their government like that. It's almost like when tyranny's around, civil disobedience is the only thing left. Well, what are these guys thinking? I don't see any tyranny there. I mean, digital ID, digital currency, no weapons, do what you're told. And if your car isn't up to snuff, they're going to charge you an extra 12 pounds a day to drive your car on the road. That's what those cameras are for. I mean, it's for the environment. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy people would do things like this. Unbelievable. I don't know what to make of all that. I'm just shaking my head right here. You see what I mean? I'm just shaking my head. That's my only, that's all I got on that topic. So what a weird thing, huh? What a weird thing. And if you didn't know about that, it's on the banned one, 9/11. So it is what it is. Let's check out this one funny thing, because this is a double entendre, a double-sided sword here. Okay, let me make sure I'm sharing this because I'm always paranoid that I'm not, but I am. Okay, cool. So a Senate Republican demands Google shut down AI model over false rape allegation. So Senator Marsha Black, Republican, Tennessee, she wrote to the Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, or whatever, who cares, in a letter because Google's large language model allegedly produced false and defamatory allegations against conservatives, including herself. Look at that. It's incredible. It's crazy. So people are like, awesome. This senator is down for the cause. This is the old switcheroo here, as it always is, because the answer for this is we can't stop AI. Nobody can stop AI because it's going to cure cancer. It's going to make new vaccines and cure cancer and all these different diseases that the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry actually cause, and the food industry, and the guys spraying heavy metal in the atmosphere, because barium, strontium, and aluminum are all heavy metals. And if they're ingested because you didn't get vaccines, awesome. You're still going to get Alzheimer's and you're still going to get autism because ingesting heavy metals causes exactly that. So whatever. What this is going to do is going to say, we need to prove you're human. We need to prove that even if AI has hallucinations, doesn't matter. We'll have a digital format where we can prove you're human. We were born on an earth. We were given the gift of life by God Almighty. Okay? We were given the gift of life. A man and a woman, period. Nothing else. No furries, no trannies, no none of this wacky crap. Conceived each and every one of us. And when the sperm reached the egg, there's a light. In the beginning, let there be light. There's a light. It can be viewed, it can be recorded, and it can be reproduced, which is what they used to call science. Okay? These people are now telling you that this earth, because of what they're doing, you have to prove you're human. No, I ain't doing that. That's all this is. That's all this entire story is. I started looking this woman up right before the live stream started, and I didn't get very far, but she's very, very close with Donald J. Trump. Anybody associated with him and his pals to the point where there's pictures together, etc., numerous times, I would bet she's with the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, Bilderberg, blah, 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 blah. It just goes on and on because it just goes on and on. But it's a trap. It's a trick. Don't think it's somebody actually standing up for us, because they're all in this together, period. And if they're not, something unfortunate will occur where they're gone. You see what I'm saying? If you speak out in this particular new world order that's literally occurring before our eyes right now, you will be dealt with one way or the other. And several channels have basically answered a question I've been posing saying that they need to remain anonymous because if they show their faces, then they can be deep faked. They can get all your gestures and this, that, and the other thing. That's a good answer. It's a good answer. But here's another one. You stay anonymous, it's a zillion times easier to fake you because all they have to do is fake your voice. You see what I'm saying? What you should be concerned about is at the point where they start unrolling the deep fakes through the Army intelligence, Army PSYOP division, because the Army PSYOPs, I've shown it to you on this channel, they have their own YouTube channel. They've been telling us for 5-6 years now that they're doing PSYOPs, so forth and so on. I get it. But by the time they start deploying deep fakes of me, I can't think of anybody else really. Off the top of my head, there's no T in Richie at all. Please don't do that. It's very distracting. There is no T in my name at all. Never has been. My name's actually right on the channel, which seems like a clue, but by the time they start employing deep fakes where I come out and say, listen, I was completely wrong. The earth has started spinning faster, and that's why time seems to be speeding by. And that's also causing global warming and cow farts, and we need to eat bugs right away. By the time that happens, I'll be gone. I'll be gone because they ain't going to deep fake you till they deep six you. You dig? You follow? You like that? That was off the top of my head. I thought that was pretty slick. At any rate, I'm going to get into Broken Reality. I don't know if she's in here yet, but probably. She made me a very, very long list of events, and she categorized them from the beginning of the year up until now. And these are all the activities that they did starting on day 1. January 1st, 2025, New Orleans truck attacks, kills 14. Las Vegas cyber attack explosion right outside Trump Tower, injuring 7. This is a long, long list. That's as far as I made it right there. It's a long list because this was daily. Every single solitary day, these guys were on it. Bing, bang, booming us left, right, and center. So I'm going to try to cover up to March. That's as far as I can go. But in the interim or the meantime, things have been coming up. And I want to address just a couple of things real quick, like this. For instance, why is it all these billionaires that have their own personal space companies where they can put incredibly fake human beings like Katy Perry and all those other evil Jezebel silicone-filled fruitcake freaks in a penis-shaped item and maybe shoot it up into low Earth orbit or not? Who knows? These guys Elon Musk is going to Mars, and the government and the whole world is like, yep, he's going to Mars, which is just laughable. Laughable. Mars, the air on Mars, according to NASA, my entire life, isn't like our air. If you inhale on Mars, you're breathing in lava, fire. But now all of a sudden we're going to Mars, no big deal. And yet all of these billionaires have massive doomsday shelters, just like we saw in Leave the World Behind. It's unbelievable. So let me ask you a question. If all of these ultra wealthy people, what's his face? Larry Ellison owns an entire island in Hawaii. That just pisses me off, man. He lives, think about Hawaii, right, where Zuckerberg has his underground bunker, is paradise on earth until they started destroying it. And they literally did make it paradise on earth. Like Paradise Fires, they did light it up just like paradise and cleared it all out. And then, rich people came on television and said, send us money so we can help these people. But they were only kidding because they weren't going to help them. But if these guys could all go to outer space and some of them actually own their own spacecrafts, why do they need underground bunkers? Seriously, why would they need underground bunkers? Because wow, look at Cher, huh? I didn't know she was still alive. Oh, and that's her transgender son. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a what a world, man. I grew up watching Sonny and Cher. When they came on television, it was like an event. Everybody watched. It was entertaining, etc. And now, unreal. If they could go to space, they wouldn't have bunkers. If they could go to space, they would have done it by now. If they could go to the moon, they'd live up there by now because it's been enough time. As far as technology was tracking over the years, they'd be there by now, but they're not. They can't. The moon is a plasma. You can't land on it. And the funny thing is, it's right before JFK said, we're going to go to the moon because it's not easy, it's hard. Yeah, right before that, scientists were actually on the national news saying, it's a plasma. It's not what you think it is. It can't be landed on. And right after that, they were like, wait a minute, that's going to screw up everything. We got to pretend to go to outer space. We're not going to tell them how we had cameras already set up there to watch them land. We're not going to tell them how come the shadows pointed the wrong way. We're not going to tell them how the astronauts said, oh, the stars were amazing. And other astronauts like, there weren't any stars. What are you even talking about? If you're on the moon, there were no stars. What are you, high? That's stupid. And then the moon only faces one side. And then sometimes the moon just kind of just chills, stops rotating around the earth and it just sits outside like it's been doing for days. Yeah, that's conspiracy theorists, man. You shouldn't talk like that. It's crazy talk. But it is where we are right now, currently, as a society. So there, as they say, is that. And one more thing real quick. Everybody is talking about the data centers eating all of their water. 300,000 gallons every day is the equivalent of 1,000 residential homes on an average size. But the ones that Zuckerberg and the ones that OpenAI are building are pulling down 800 million gallons a day. That's insane. And of course, once they build them that big, that's the only size they're going to want to build them because, you know, these tech nerds, they need to, you know, one up each other all the time. And when you're somebody like Larry Ellison, you can simply become the richest guy on earth by simply moving your money around in a certain way that makes you worth another $100 billion. How is that allowable? How is that in any way whatsoever legal? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is that allowable? How come you and I can't do that? I can't even move around $1,000 and have another $1,000 show up, but this guy can become the richest guy on earth for a day simply by moving money around. I don't get it, but that's what they do. We're literally watching all the richest people on earth right now sucking up every single solitary thing that's worth anything on earth and making it theirs. And it's a crazy time to be alive. And it's a crazy time watching 9.5 out of every 10 people not even know any of this is going on. Or if they do, they don't care. They don't care because it doesn't. They're too busy worried about TikTok, television shows, sports, or buying groceries, or paying their rent, or paying their electric bill that suddenly just keeps going up because the new data center that was going to bring hundreds of thousands of jobs, it only gave them 30 jobs, and those are security guards, and that's it because everybody's working off-site. You know what I'm saying? This is such easy information to find, but you can't find it if you don't look for it. And people are wondering why we're just going straight down the tubes. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. People are reporting that important people in government are going into military bunkers. You want to hear a secret? Want to hear a secret? Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't say it. It's just between me and the guys everyone in the chat right now. When these people decide to go to their bunkers, you know how we'll know? We won't. They'll have AI-generated speeches. They'll have body doubles. They'll have robots. We've seen it before. We just had somebody that claimed he was the president, Joe Biden. The guy couldn't put two words together, but at the end of his presidency, he's suddenly running up to people and then jogging away from interviews. It's laughable. It's ridiculous. That was a little poke in the eye on the way out. You see what I'm saying? But on that, I will digress. So I just closed that list. Stand by. Here it is. All right. Let's start with the first thing if I can find it. All right. So do you remember January? After the attack, after the military, dude, remember, both of these attacks in New Orleans they were both ex-military, because you're always going to make the military look bad after you're done with them, okay? The first attack wasn't this. The first attack was the guy in the Tesla that had a bunch of homemade explosives in the back that any ex-military dude wouldn't use because they were dumb. They weren't effective in any way whatsoever at all. But that's what he used. And he blew himself up so badly in front of the Trump Tower in his Tesla that he was completely unrecognizable, 100%. They couldn't tell who he was anymore. You know how they figured out who he was? Because the inside of the Tesla acted like an incinerator, burned his human body to the point they couldn't recognize it. That's why they have crematoriums, because burning somebody beyond recognition is hard to do. You need seriously high heat. But fortunately, just like on 9/11, his passport remained. So he was easily identified. Because when you're going to go do something like that, you always carry your passport first and foremost. I mean, don't you? I do. Anytime you're going to do something like that. But yeah, you remember that? That was right off the rip. The very first day of January 2025, they handed the keys over to AI and said, you tell us how to do this. And they said, cool, let's get on it. And they did. Right off the bat, bing, bang, boom. That's what they did. And that was the end result.
The horrific and deadly attack in New Orleans. At least 15 killed and dozens more injured when a driver rammed a rented pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street around 3 a.m., just hours into the new year. The FBI now investigating it as an act of terrorism. Law enforcement now reviewing this surveillance video showing the white pickup truck driving down Canal Street before turning right into Bourbon Street. The suspect mowing down dozens of people over a 3-block stretch, turning the typically festive and iconic Bourbon Street into a deadly scene of carnage and chaos. Dramatic video capturing the moment police exchange gunfire with the suspect. Authorities saying he died in that exchange. 2 police officers were also injured but are in stable condition. Authorities releasing this image of the 42-year-old 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗧𝗘𝗏, an Army veteran and U.S.-born citizen. Police now asking anyone with information to come forward. Tonight, why the FBI says the suspect did not act alone, the chilling accounts from eyewitnesses, and what we are learning about the victims. And
let me ask you something. Does anybody really believe that this dude right here was not only born in the United States, he's a natural-born citizen, because you got to have the domestic terrorist angle, but he's also a decorated ex-military guy. I got a funny feeling that 𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗔𝗧𝗘𝗥, I don't know. I just don't believe that I don't even believe that the suspect is real. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy, but they had to do this to set the precedent, to get the rituals going right off the rip. All these people are out here celebrating the beginning of the new year. Do you think God is so inept that he would have put the beginning of the year, the new year? A new year is here. Let's put it in the dead nuts middle of winter. Now, April 1st, April Fools. Get it? Get it? Yeah, I ain't buying any of that. But, you know, it is what it is. America bought it and America forgot it at this particular point. So let me look at my list and see if I can do this correctly. Okay, she had State Department notifies Congress of planned $8 billion arms sale to Israel. I didn't pull that up because I didn't really care. Let's go to this bad boy right here, because this just keeps going on because they just can't stop poisoning you. They love to poison Americans. They just can't get enough of it. You know what I mean? Here we go. Beat it. U.S. Congress takes action on West Virginia water crisis following local reporting, because somebody like myself or Dan Dix went there with an actual literal camera and exposed this. So then the government has to step in after it goes viral. After it goes viral. Isn't this awesome? Water crisis back in, let me check my notes. Water crisis back in January 6th. And this was before anyone was even talking about how much data centers were sucking up the water. So while you're listening to this, think of that.
For months, we have been covering Wyoming County's water crisis, where discolored, foul-smelling water has poured from taps and flowed into streams for a year. Now Congress is taking formal action. Investigative reporter Danny Delanty sat down with U.S. Congressman Riley Moore, who says a new amendment could finally bring federal resources and answers to the region.
Look, it might not be my district, but it is my state, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to help my people.
After months of public outcry,
people are dying. People are getting sick out of nowhere.
The federal government is listening. Congressman Riley Moore says a new amendment added to the Interior Appropriations Bill directs the EPA to investigate and respond to the drinking water crisis in Wyoming and McDowell counties.
It directs the EPA to report back to the committee no less than 60 days, telling us what are the available resources, how are you going to fix this, and then we are going to push and force them to fix this.
The amendment.
So the fix is data centers. Let's put in more data centers, and all the money that we'll get there from all the jobs, we'll put data centers, because West Virginia is like ground zero. West Virginia and Virginia are like ground zeros for data centers, and all they do is just suck up water. Does anybody have a laptop, or a desktop at home? I do. I got a Threadripper. It's a monstrosity of a computer that was supposed to take all my Premiere Pro videos and upload them quickly. Guess what it does? Same thing as this laptop. It doesn't do shit. It doesn't do anything. But it's water cooled. You can actually see the water going around the processor, because the cooler the processor, the better it works. Now think about that desktop the size of a NASA hangar, because that's exactly what they are. And they require massive amounts of water. So for them to say the EPA is going to check into it, yeah, I'll wait. Everybody just hold your breath, because the EPA is on their way. Just like they were at 9/11, just like they were in Flint, Michigan, just like they are all the time. But this is just more of the same. It's what they do. They do not care. Just shut up and pay your taxes. And if you don't, we'll send a few guys by with AR-15s, a battering ram, maybe an Oshkosh armored vehicle, just in case. You might be one of those crazy gun owners in America that they have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable to me, but this is where we live right now. So let's look at speaking of data centers, this was January 7th. This is killing me. Oh, here it is. I got it. The list is backwards. So January 7th, Trump comes out and announces that Saudi Arabia is going to drop $20 million of foreign investments to build new USA data centers. So for those that don't understand what I just said, it's pretty straightforward, but this means that Trump is literally selling off the United States. And we're going to get to that, because they're selling this country out from under us like it belongs to them, like it's their property, like DC was not the designated area of land, and as far as they could go. Well, that cat's out of the bag, because Trump has sold to Emirati billionaire Hassan Sajwani, a Trump associate and founder of the property development company DMAC, is pledging money, $20 billion to build data centers in the United States. So you think your water sucks now? Well, wait till the Saudis get finished with it, because they're all about human rights. They care what their people say. You know what I mean? As long as you don't wear ankle socks, because they're going to have to throw rocks at you till you're dead, because that's upsetting to Allah. But on the other side of that coin, if a woman that lives in Saudi Arabia accidentally shows any skin, got to throw stones at her. Throwing rocks at a human being till they're dead would suck. You ever been hit with a rock? You ever been hit with a bunch of rocks? You ever been hit with rocks in front of everybody watching while everyone's throwing rocks at you till you're dead? Yeah. But on the other side of that coin, these guys are the number one place where they literally pay Instagram and TikTok influencer girls that'll do whatever. They'll pay them $1 million to come over there and poop and pee on them. That's normal. But that's where we live right now. And, remember Saudi Arabia? Those are the guys. Those are 19 Saudi Arabian terrorists. Now they're actually, they don't have to fly planes into buildings anymore. They never did it. It was Israel and our own government, George Herbert Walker Bush. But, Project Hammer, look it up or don't. But it's a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. They're selling this place out from under us. It's a literal garage sale. Every resource, every piece of land, every person, we're all up for sale here. We're being sold out and we're still paying for it, which is pretty disheartening. And people don't want to hear about it. January 9th, funeral held for Jimmy Carter. I'm not going to talk about that. January 10th, poor air quality. Let's get on that. LA County declares health emergency due to fires and windstorms. Wear masks, avoid air conditioning that bring in outside air, and avoid using blowers. Well, if you're wearing a mask to keep it from going into your lungs, your air conditioner has air filters, but they want you as uncomfortable as possible because they want you out of there. If you live in California, I don't know how much more they have to say. They don't want you there. They don't seem to burn down the sequoias, and they don't seem to burn down the redwoods. They want that state, and they want you out, and they're doing everything they possibly can. They priced people out. They've burned people out. They've rioted people out. They've just made everything legal people out, and people are still there. People are pretty stubborn. I get it, but they want Los Angeles for whatever reason, and for them to declare the air unhealthy for something that they're causing to happen, I find quite comical. Not laugh out loud comical. It's pathetic, but it's where we live right now, so it is what it is. Governor Newsom on January 10th calls for an investigation into firefighters' struggle with water supply. All part of the plan. I ain't getting into that. January 15th, the FDA decided to literally throw everybody a bone and talk about red dye number 3. We're gonna get rid of that one of these days because it causes cancer. But yeah, they don't care whatsoever at all. And it still continues to this day, but what are you gonna do? Eaton firefighters. Firefighting efforts continue on the Eaton fire that has burned over 14,000 acres and killed at least 17 people. Directed energy weapons. And then they blame the entire thing on a homeless guy with a flamethrower. I've seen a lot of flamethrowers. I've seen a lot of homeless guys. I've never seen the two combined. And the fact that people buy the story over the actual story, that these people, every place that they burn down either has minerals that they want to steal and then charge you for after they stole them, or it has land where they want to build a 15-minute city where they can imprison you inside of. You see what I mean? It's just astonishing, but people every time go for the homeless guy with the flamethrower for the win. And that's where they're at right now. So here's a fun one. This is fifth generation warfare. This happened on, let me check my notes. This happened on January 16th. So we had a busy month. We had a really busy month. And what they started doing was more of the same, blowing up any factories that we need to live, food processing plants, things of that nature. But then this is a double whammy because this is an enormous lithium fire. Remember this one? Moss Landing battery fire leads to health fairs, evidence of contamination and concerns about overreaction. Yeah, you see that? That's nothing. That's all good. The chemicals that are burning and just lingering in the air and we're doing nothing about it, nothing whatsoever at all. Don't overreact. Don't worry about that. And it's right here inside a fun little thing called climate news. Climate news, because this is the climate right here, or how you change the climate. They're literally terraforming the earth for something that is not human, something that is incompatible with the atmosphere, the water, the food that God gave us. All we need is food, water, and shelter. And then we overcomplicate it. When I say we, it's them. It really is. The corporations have done all this, but they stay on it. The list of factories that have exploded in the last 5 years is astonishing and actually pretty frightening if you think about it. But what can one do? All right. Got that one. And then January 18th, of course, we have to have another explosion because you can't do one side of the country without doing the other side of the country. And let me see if I can find it. See, it's getting a little complicated here. I don't know what that is. Stand by. Talk amongst yourselves. All right, well, I can't find it. I can't find it. Saluja tank, fuel tank explosion. Overturned tanker exploded while locals collected spilled fuel, killing over 100 and injuring at least 69. Okay, January 20th. Let's do that. January 20th. After taking office and handing $500 billion, I can't stop saying that. I won't stop saying that. After handing $500 billion to the richest 1% on earth, because that was one of his promises in his campaign, Trump did this.
Trump is signing is the
U.S. President Donald Trump signed a flurry of executive orders Monday after he was sworn in, swiftly imposing his will on the U.S. government and signaling a major departure from his Democrat predecessor, Joe Biden. He first signed a number of them in front of a crowd at Capital One Arena in Washington, then continued to do so in front of reporters at the Oval Office.
pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
They included pardoning 1,500 of his supporters who attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6th for.
Okay, so that part of it's awesome, okay? Because that's to give people a win. Like, see, Trump did exactly what he said. He's with us. These dudes sat in jail for 6 years for something they didn't do at all. The entire thing is literally staged. Wolves in Finance did a video on January 6th, and he didn't do a video of his opinion. He did a video of all the cameras, FOIA, Freedom of Information Acts. They finally released everything so you can watch it. Nobody stormed the gates. They were all invited in, but whatever. But the one thing they don't mention is out of all those 1,500 people, a bunch of them were scumbag rappers, all sorts of disgusting people. And why would Trump know who these rappers are? Because they gave money. It's crazy. More of the same, and nobody even seems to notice that. But, that's where we live right now. What are you going to do? And then, of course, we've got more of the same. Sorry this is so slow, but you try doing this. I've got lots of links open. But right after the fires came more fires because they weren't done. This was on January 21st. Or maybe it wasn't. Really? No volume, no nothing. Whatever. San Diego County prompting evacuations, damaging buildings, more directed energy weapons. They don't want you in California. If California was a good spot for hurricanes, they'd have hurricanes every 15 minutes, but it's not. But it's a terrific spot for wildfires because of the Pacific Ocean and the Santa Ana winds. I went to sleep the night of the LA fires. They hadn't started yet. I woke up 7 hours later and LA was gone. That's efficient. That's some serious mojo right there. So there you go. I'm going to try to keep going here as far as I can. January 21st, 2 Americans are held in Afghanistan are freed in exchange for a Taliban fighter. 2 for 1. Good deal. Okay, here we go. This one. This is their old bread and butter. School shootings. What would America be without school shootings? Because of those damn guns, It's got nothing to do with music, television, movies, video games, antidepressants, mental health, things of that nature, and the fact that every time someone becomes a school shooter, I didn't realize this till about a year ago. People love this so much because if you're a dork in school, instead of lifting weights or getting really smart or working on your future because your parents guided you and said, listen, getting laid when you're 15 ain't what it's cut. It isn't what it's all, cracked up to be. Work on your future. We don't have any of that because nobody's married anymore. Everybody's divorced. Nobody believes in God. Nobody follows the good word. None of that stuff. What they want to do is shoot up a school worse than the guy that did it before so that people will start making never-ending videos about them because half of the YouTube channels are simply talking about things like that and they get millions of views. All they're doing is reliving some jerk killing a bunch of people And to them, that's fame. That's the bar. That's what they want to do. So it just keeps the whole ball rolling. Sandy Hook started a heck of a revolution, man. I'll tell you that right now. It's crazy. In Sandy Hook, you know, one person did all that damage, and yet one of the kids died, not only in Connecticut, but a couple of years later, the exact same kid died again in Pakistan in a mass school stabbing. You know, you gotta work with what you got here. All right, what do we got here? Stand by. I'm trying to keep this in order, but I don't know if I can. All right, look at this. Florida, January 22nd. Parts of Florida shut down by historic storm. Crazy. You know, it's like they could control the weather. And it's like if they could control the weather, we'd be able to find out. There's no two ways about it. If they could control the weather, surely we could dig up a patent or two or find some sort of military documentation that's still on the internet to this very day, talking about using the weather as a weapon, exactly like they talk about. You'd think we'd be able to find that. I'm using sarcasm for those that don't get it. You know, I hate to say that, but it is what it is. But unbelievable. We've got the Northern Lights in Florida, and people are like, wow, it's amazing. Well, how come you think that for centuries they were called the Northern Lights and not the lights in the sky that are sometimes in Florida, sometimes in the Midwest, and sometimes way up north? You had to go up where it was freezing out to see the Northern Lights, but now they're just absolutely everywhere. It's like they've got a machine that one of the byproducts is when it's messing with the ionosphere or the firmament, it causes colors to show up in the sky. You know what I mean? It's like they've got, I mean, I don't know. You know, I got a better chance at learning how to play the harp than I do at proving that, but it's just crazy. It's crazy. Such stupid, idiotic conspiracy theories. These are just natural events that happen because of cows farting and you and I living your lives as we used to, but now suddenly we have to live in this new world. And if we don't, well, it just won't be good for everybody involved. Okay, let's get into airplanes, because you remember that time that every 15 minutes an airplane went down? Yeah, that still happened. So Airbus catches on fire in South Korea, leaving 7 people with injuries at Gimhae Airport. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I tried my best. I didn't learn English in high school. I certainly didn't learn North Korean. But that was like the start of a trend, because the next day, I'll show it to you. If there wasn't so much having to look at this stuff, it would be a lot easier. No, I don't want to. 7 dead, including 1 on the ground, after a medevac jet with a child patient and her mother crashes in Philadelphia. You remember that? Yeah, me too. This was ugly. This looked like a missile coming out of the sky.
We know, at least from the FAA right now, confirming it for us through an official source, that this was a Lear 55 business jet. To clarify, that is not the small single-engine airplane that was initially reported as having gone down in this Philadelphia neighborhood. This is a twin-engine business jet of about 10 tons of maximum weight, goes about 450 miles per hour, and the FAA is also confirming to us that this flight just left Philadelphia Northeast International Airport at about 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, was on its way to Springfield Branson National Airport in Missouri. That's a flight of about 1,100 miles. So this plane would be fully loaded with fuel, very likely, and would explain the large fireball that we have seen in these videos that keeps.
But it wouldn't explain the fact that, like it says right here, a lawn dart-like descent. This plane, with a little kid and his mother in it going to get medical care for a terminal disease, came out of the sky like Satan from heaven. Do you remember this? This came out of the sky straight down. This was absolutely, without a doubt, taken out for a purpose. And I'm thinking the little kid and his mother were just collateral damage because they wanted to prove a point. Because every 15 minutes for several days, airplanes were just falling out of the sky left, right, and center. And if they weren't falling out of the sky, you know, as intended, they would just have a military helicopter crash into them. Because, yeah, that happened That happened as well. I'm hitting the wrong buttons here. It is what it is. All right. Plane crash, plane crash, plane crash, plane crash. And plane crash. Delta plane that crashed at Pearson Airport was traveling at high rate of descent. This is the one that landed upside down. Remember that old gag? Because that always happens. Airplanes constantly land upside down, but you just don't see them because everything works out well. Sarcasm, once again, for those that don't quite get it. But yeah, remember that? Part of the program. We don't want you flying anymore because of your carbon footprint. You can either have a sandwich or you can fly to the other side of the country and see your family. But otherwise, you got to pick one. Have a can of tuna fish or fly on a jet. We can't promise it won't land upside down because, hey, that's the thing. It happens all the time. I mean, haven't you been paying attention to the news? They wouldn't lie to you. You see what I mean? Remember all this? This all happened in the first month. The first month, right off the rip, right off the bat, right out of the gate, bing, bang, boom, nonstop. Trying to find them in my what is this? Get out of here. Trying to find them is a little more difficult, but you know what? I do pretty good for a dude living out of a bag. I don't have a suitcase on the in northern Louisiana. But you remember this one? 10 people lost in a plane crash. I don't mean to sound jaded when I say it, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. 10 people died in a plane crash on Thursday, February 6th, when the Bering Air Cessna Caravan flying between 𝗚𝗓𝗏 and Nome went down about 35 miles southwest of Nome. There were no survivors. Now, a lot of people looked into this, and none of this made sense because anytime you look into anything that seems to be playing to a narrative, it doesn't make any sense, unless, of course, you're a. Who are you, dude? Who are you? None of your business. What do you think? I've been a loser my entire life. You know what I mean? None of your business, stranger. Unbelievable. You know, I'm spending my time right now showing you things that affect your life, and you're worried about where I get my money. Pay attention, or don't, or whatever. Unbelievable, man. At any rate. All right, I'm hitting the wrong buttons again because I'm getting agitated, but it doesn't end because remember this? Unbelievable. 2 small planes collide midair in Arizona, killing 2. So you're getting the point here. You remember that time? It was just nonstop airplanes falling from the sky. We don't want you flying. We don't want you flying because it's just the carbon footprint is just too upsetting. It's just too upsetting. We can't have it. Meanwhile, these guys literally. All right. If you're a moderator, why am I doing this? You see what I mean? He sells weed. There you go. There you go. Can you even do that anymore? Can you do that anymore? At any rate. All right. You tell people everything about your entire life. You give all your time and energy because you have to warn people, and they're talking about shit in left field or stuff that you could ask me in an email if you had my email or my, you know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hey, how come your wife is so fat? Do you feed her a lot? You know what I mean? Like, it's none of your business, dude. And then again, let's do this right here. Nope, that's the wrong one. All right, well, you get it. There was a lot of plane crashes. A lot of them. I didn't even get to the Potomac River air crash. You should all remember that one because I can't find it in my little list right here. Stand by. This may have been a little too, I might have thought too highly myself on this, organizing this, because I spent all day putting this list together and now it's not working because it's not showing everything. All right, whatever. You know what? I'm gonna read off the list. How do you like that? Let me share the screen. Windows. Is this it? It is. All right. Can you see that? I think you can. You can. All right. January 21st, multiple brush fires, California, directed energy. 2 Americans held, I already read that. Airbus crashes, airplane crashes, Potomac River. That entire thing was just ridiculous. That helicopter had no business there. I cannot think. The only thing I came up with when it happened is that AI took over and crashed it on purpose, because that was a specific course it took in order for that to happen, and that was ugly. The Medjet, I believe I already said that. January 31st, a Learjet crashed in Philadelphia. January 31st. Broken Reality killed it on this. She killed it on this. Medjet, a Learjet. I did that. Venezuela frees 6 American hostages. Doge is granted full access to federal treasury. Full access to the treasury. And now Doge is just gone because it's not doing anything. The national debt has gone up probably 500 billion since I showed it last night. You know what I mean? It's just going and going. Doge was nothing more than incorporating every piece of information that these scumbag OpenAI Facebook people didn't have access to before Trump went in and gave the keys to another billionaire fruitcake whose entire family line is esoteric, black magic, conjuring type people. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a very, very real thing. And it's the only thing that explains why other people would do this to other people. Do you know what I mean? Because they do this consistently all the time. Every single solitary thing the government and authorities do is to make your lives worse and then literally funnel you into a prison, period. It's crazy, man. But that's where we're at right now. So LA aftermath. I did want to show this because this is a thing. We saw this. Stop. We saw this after the fact. And if they burned your house to the ground and then cordoned it off, because I saw this firsthand, the military wasn't letting anybody anywhere near this. Even if your house was within, you could point to your house like, hey, my house is right there. It didn't burn down. Oh, well, we can't let you near it. If they weren't able to burn your house to the ground and just damage it somehow, collateral damage, you can't rebuild. You can't get permits to rebuild any of this because they burned it down for a reason. They want the land. Just like Hurricane Sandy, people weren't able to rebuild. They weren't able to get any building permits, etc. Same thing. So if they don't get you with the actual act of terrorism, they get you with the act of authoritarianism after the fact, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? These guys are marching towards, they're not marching towards it. They're assembling the New World Order. For the last 15 years, we've been watching them march to it. January 1st, 2025, it's on. It's happening. They're doing it. It's, you know, it's all around us right now. So Tibet earthquake, school shooting, already showed it. DC plane crash over the Potomac, I already showed it. Crashed. Well, there's always this one. I'm going out of order because I don't care anymore. Remember this old chestnut? This one right here? February 16th, 2025.
At least 9.
Owning the weather by 2025. They came out flexing. The military came out and said, look, we did what we said. We would own it by 2025. And here's the proof.
People died as tornado-warned storms and heavy rain pummeled the South over the weekend. 8 of those deaths occurred in Kentucky, and the governor said he expected the death toll to rise as evacuations and rescues continued Sunday. In Atlanta, Georgia, a man died when a tree fell on a home during severe storms early Sunday morning. In Tennessee, a levee failed, causing catastrophic flooding in the town of Reeves along the Obion River. And in Virginia, the governor deployed the National Guard as floods and mudslides blocked roads.
That right there is what I've been warning about since the day I started this. You got to keep in mind, too, I'm fasting today. And it's 7:45, so I could technically eat right now, but I'm going to keep pushing forward. Because fasting is good, but I do get grumpy as F at the end of the day, which is where we're at right now. So let me keep pushing through this if I possibly can. I remember this. I just don't remember the entire circumstances, but this earthquake that killed 126 people, this was the old earthquake machine that Tesla came up with back in the early 1900s. It's still a thing. I don't remember the story around this, sadly, because I just don't. It happens. So many things happen. I just wanted to remind you, this is how you keep everybody in line. Oh, you Tibetans don't want to listen? Cool. We'll give you a Fukushima real quick. You know, that's what they do. So another, what the actual, look at this. Look at the pop-ups. How pathetic and gross is this, man? It's like you're trying to sit down and have dinner and strangers keep walking up and interrupting. They finally settled with Flint, Michigan after poisoning people by giving them river water that had so many different industrial outlets. So all sorts of factories were just dumping waste into the water. And these guys literally just started giving people of Flint water from that exact river. A $53 million settlement. I wonder how much that is for every person that was affected. Like $110. People look at these amounts like, well, they got fined $53 million. Yeah, really? And there was over 100,000 people involved. So divvy that all up, plus the lawyers, etc. This is the government. This is what the government's supposed to prevent from happening in the first place with things like the FDA, the EPA, the FCC. But all of them are bought and sold and rather out in the open. It's not really even a secret. People should know this. You know, there's always these scandals where it shows itself and people don't seem to care. And people not caring is exactly how we ended up in this exact situation as it stands. So let me show you this because this bums me out. Where is it? I don't remember what this was. Oh, March 4th, 2025. We're not on the list anymore. I already lost interest. It's taken too long and I can't do it right. But March 4th, 2025, Trump signed an executive order to fast track logging. So up to 1 trillion trees can be cut down. And according to Yahoo News, is this true? Trump signs an executive order that would allow the clear cutting of 280 million acres of national forest and protected public lands. Is it true? Yeah. What's false? It doesn't directly call for it. It's unbelievable. So according to their story, there's too much carbon dioxide in the air. Climate change. Trees get rid of that. They turn it into oxygen. So they're just going to keep clear cutting and clear cutting and clear cutting. And that's exactly what they're doing. And if they're not clear cutting it, they're just simply selling it off to other countries. You know what I mean? And I do have a link for that. Oh, this is all effed up. I got that. Stand by, stand by, stand by, stand by. And I can't. Yes, I did. Congress is making more than, you notice these unbelievably high numbers, 250 million acres of public lands available for sale as of June 2025. So see him? Yeah, you're dead. Get out of here. See all these flowers, grass, and everything else? Get out of here. 250 million acres of public lands are available for sale, let alone the fact that Bill Gates and other billionaires from other countries already owned way more of your neighborhood than you even know. And these 250 million acres, you combine it with the 350 million acres, or the what I just told you in the last clip, that's a lot. That's substantial. They're literally stealing everything on the way out the door. They're destroying America, and they want everything before it gets going. Because when it gets going, Things are going to get burned. Things are going to get spilled. Things are going to get knocked over. So buy it up now so that when things do get going, they can protect it because it's their property. They're literally selling off public lands and cutting down trillions. That's a lot. And that's trillions. That's crazy. Trees that are protected. Oh, well, out of the deal. That's our boy Trump. That's what he's here for. They're literally doing this, and I can't possibly understand why nobody seems to care. It's crazy. It's really crazy. But I guess I do. When you're trying to feed yourself and keep these scumbags from stealing your home, it's probably rather distracting. But in the meantime, butterfly decline is out of control. March. I show this all the time, but I mean, this is crazy. I don't know where the actual article is. Oh, I have to, no, get out of here. Butterflies. I know it might not seem like much and it's kind of gay, but it's a problem. You start losing things like that, it's very, very problematic. And it's not the only thing, because this list I've left millions of times. This is End Times Prophecies channel. They have a website that's dedicated to just this. And I subscribe to it because it's important to know. And I actually see this in real life every day, all the time. Mass bee deaths, mass animal die-offs. This goes back a long, 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 long time. This is insanity, man. 2023, 175 tons of fish die in farms. So these people are farming these things, and 175 tons of fish are dying off. January 5th, 2023, huge number of dead sea creatures wash up in Australia. January 5th, 2023, thousands of dead fish wash up in Argentina. January 7th, 2023, dozens of dead vultures found in North Carolina. 23, thousands of dead fish in Victoria. 10 million birds died due to avian flu, a record in Japan. Well, just take the word avian flu and put in frequency testing of some sort. That's what killed them. Birds are incredibly sensitive to frequencies because that's how they navigate, fly, etc. January 23, thousands of dead fish, Australia. February 23, hundreds of dead fish. February 23, 1,000 plus dead puffins. You know those cute little mini penguins that are orange on the side? They washed up in Spain. The list just keeps going on and on. March 7th, 2023, hundreds of dead fish in Florida. March 17th, millions in Australia. On and on. I'll leave this. This is it's a litmus test of where humanity's at, because apparently God made us really well. I mean, that should go without saying, but God made us really well because we seem to be able to deal with an awful lot. Think about the recreational drugs, the cigarettes, the alcohol, the vaping, the barium, strontium, aluminum, the fluoride, the vaccines, the medical procedures where they tell you, you've got cancer, so we're going to give you radiation. Hey, but doesn't radiation cause cancer? Shut up. Radiation causes your bank account to deplete along with your life so that we have your life and your money at the same time. Any more questions? Exactly. At any rate, this was a bad idea because this list sucked. I don't know where half of it went. I can't possibly do this. So Broken Reality, I tried. Maybe somebody's smarter than I, because I've sent that list to 2 other channels. So we'll just see what happens with that, one way or the other. At any rate, Richie from Boston, I'm going to eat. I'm out.